is Friday, June 4. Welcome to CGN News. United States Vice President Kamala Harris and Chairman of the Caribbean Community CARICOM, Dr. Keith Rowley, concluded their first telephone conference meeting on Thursday. A statement from the Office of the Prime Minister in Trinidad and Tobago noted that the Harris-Rowley meeting was the very latest in a series of high-level contacts with officials of the Biden administration in recent weeks. Among the government heads contacted were Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Mexican Prime Minister Andrés Manuel López Obrador, and President of Guatemala Alejandro Giammattei. Deputy Press Secretary for the Vice President Sabrina Singh later tweeted that Harris spoke with several world leaders, including Rowley, informing them of plans to begin sharing the first 25 million COVID-19 vaccines to countries globally. Just last week, Rowley and Foreign Affairs Minister Amory Brown met with U.S. House Majority Whip James E. Clyburn. Charge d'Affaires of the United States Embassy in Trinidad, Shante Moore, has welcomed the announcement that the U.S. is providing 6 million doses of vaccines to Latin America and the Caribbean. Moore said the embassy worked closely with regional counterparts, the government of Trinidad, and officials in Washington to ensure the region would be included in this donation. U.S. President Joe Biden said Thursday that America is committed to bringing the same urgency to international vaccination efforts that it has demonstrated at home. Biden said Washington has already committed $4 billion to support COVAX, an initiative to reduce vaccine disparity between high and low income countries. He said that the U.S. has launched partnerships to boost global capacity to manufacture more vaccines. St. Kitts and Nevis has closed its borders to non-fully vaccinated visitors as part of new COVID-19 protocols announced by the government. The move is one of many announced by Prime Minister Timothy Harris in an effort to stop a new spread of the virus. Visitors planning to travel to St. Kitts and Nevis must now be fully vaccinated at least 2 weeks prior to arrival. They must complete a traveler authorization form and submit a copy of their vaccination card, as well as proof of a negative COVID test taken 72 hours prior to travel. Upon arrival, travelers must vacation in place for 9 days at an approved hotel. If staying beyond 9 days, visitors must take another PCR test in the 9th day at their own expense, costing approximately $150. Children who have not been vaccinated can accompany their vaccinated parents, but the vacation-in-place rules extend to 14 days for those families, according to the new rules. Jamaica's Health Ministry is hosting a blitz at the National Arena on Saturday for people who are due their second dose of the COVID-19 vaccination. It will be held from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. The ministry said the blitz will provide the second dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine to those who received their first dose in March and have a due date of June 5. Those persons will be notified by text messages and follow-up calls. They must take along a government-issued ID or a letter from a Justice of the Peace and their COVID-19 vaccination card. In the meantime, appointments for first doses are still available for persons in the priority groups. Persons must make an appointment through the ministry's website or the National Vaccination Hotline at 888-1-LOVE. That's 888-663-5683. Dr. Hubert Minnis, Prime Minister of the Bahamas, announced a suspension of the value-added tax, VAT, for critical hurricane supplies and equipment beginning next month, as he urged Bahamians to prepare for the hurricane season. Speaking during Wednesday's budget debate, Dr. Minnis said the VAT holidays are solely applicable to items purchased in the Bahamas from local wholesalers and retailers. Last year, the government passed legislation that authorized VAT holidays up to twice per year for 30 days for specific reasons. The Bahamas has been affected by major hurricanes in recent years. These include Hurricane Irma in September 2017 and Dorian in 2019. The World Health Organization's vaccine expert said Thursday that immunizing children against COVID-19 is not a high priority given the extremely limited global supply of doses. Dr. Kate O'Brien said children should not be a focus, even as Canada, the US, and the European Union have authorized shots for children aged 12 to 15. O'Brien, a pediatrician, said the rationale for immunizing children was to stop transmission rather than to protect them from getting sick or dying. She said it was critical to ensure health workers and the elderly were inoculated ahead of teenagers and children. The WHO has urged rich countries to donate shots to poor countries rather than immunize children. Fewer than 1% of COVID-19 vaccines administered globally have been used in poor countries. Belarusian journalist Roman Protasevich, who was arrested in Minsk after being taken off a diverted flight last month, has appeared in a tearful interview on state television. He confessed to organizing anti-government protests and praised President Alexander Lukashenko. Protasevich and his girlfriend were flying to Lithuania when the jet was forced to land over a fake bomb threat. The reporter, 26, was put on a list of individuals involved in terrorist activity last year. Mass protests erupted across Belarus after Lukashenko claimed victory in an August 9 election widely condemned as rigged. The protests have been curbed and opposition leaders have been sent to prison or into exile. At the end of the interview, Protasevich burst into tears and said he hoped one day to marry and have children. His father told AFP news agency that it pained him to watch the interview. The White House has defended top coronavirus advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci amid scrutiny of his recently released work emails. Press Secretary Jen Psaki said Fauci had been an undeniable asset in the U.S. response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The emails, which were released to media organizations as part of a Freedom of Information Act request, show Fauci navigating the early days of the pandemic when he became a public face of the U.S. government's response. Critics say the contents of the emails prove that the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases misled people on the contentious origins of the COVID-19 virus. A pro-democracy activist has been arrested in Hong Kong on the 32nd anniversary of the 1989 Tiananmen Square crackdown. Chow Hang-tung, the vice chair of the alliance, which organizes vigils for victims of Beijing's deadly crackdown on democracy protesters, was arrested for promoting unauthorized assembly. It comes as Hong Kong has banned the vigil for the second year running, citing coronavirus restrictions. Police have closed off Victoria Park, where citizens usually gather each year to mark the anniversary. There was an international condemnation after troops and tanks opened fire on protests in Beijing. Estimates of the dead vary from a few hundred to several thousand. That's it for CGN News. I'm Scott Wilson. Thanks for watching.